Hi, I'm Pamela Stavorsky, and this is my Mammalian Evolution seminar project. Um, the contents for this, we're going to go over kind of like mammalian context, group features. We're going to address a handful of questions, how the diversity of mammalia is distributed in different biomes of the Earth, where is the group more diverse and least diverse, the clades, which clades diversify in which ecosystems and which regions, the biome, which biomes are interesting ecologically and morphologically in terms of their innovations within the group, discussion, conclusion, and references. So again, the questions we want to answer. How is diversity in the mammalian group distributed in the biomes of the Earth? Which clades diversify in which ecosystems and which regions? Where is the mammalian group more diverse? Where is it least diverse? Which biomes harbor interesting ecological and morphological innovations within the group? So mammalian placement in the tree of life. So when we're looking at the tree of life, the group synapsis are a broader group, and they contain what is known as mammalia forms, which are from 200 million years ago in the Jurassic period. Mammalia are a clade that evolved from mammalia forms. Right now, there's three living representatives: um, montriums, placentelia, and marsupials. And then when we're looking at like big evolution timelines, there's the Cretaceous terrestrial revolution, KTR, which was 125 to 80 MA million years ago, and then the end Cretaceous mass extinction event 66 million years ago, which divides the um, Cretaceous and Cenozoic periods. So mammalian diversity among the three living groups that the articles kind of talk about. And uh, mon monotremes, one big thing is that they lay eggs and they produce milk. And then they include incarnatas, which there's 4 species of, and platypus, which there's 1 species of. You can kind of see on the tree that they branch off before two of our other groups. We have marsupials. They are a crown group, Mediterranean mammals. They have a short gestation period. They give birth to underdeveloped young who finish developing in marsupial. So marsupials, sorry, I lost my spot. Marsupials have pouches, so think of like kangaroos, where the mammal continues to develop. There's only about 300 extinct species, living species, and so they are less taxonomically diverse. Um, in terms of the crown group, that means that the common ancestor of all living mammals and descendants of that ancestor, like they share the same. In terms of um, placentals, they are a crown group eutherian mammal. So the common center of all placental mammals is extinct or living. Placental mammals have a chorioantoic placenta for nutrient exchange between mother and fetus during gestation. Um, they also generally have a longer gestation period before giving birth, and they give birth to more developed young. Most living mammals are placentals. There's 4,000 living species, roughly 94% of them. 94% of mammals are extinct. Um, Ecological and morphological diversity. So the mammalian clade is extremely diverse. It consists of about 8 orders, and among those orders, species live in all habitats, meaning land, water, and air. So an example of water would be whales, which I'll talk about in a moment. It is understood that numerous mammalian clades evolved from small insectivore ancestors. There were numerous rapid diversification events that impacted organismal structure, diets, mobility, size, and more. So aquatic mammals such as whales and manatees are known to originate from the Eocene. With more diversity, we have bats, Chiroptera, which they gained flight through diversification during the Eocene, and then later they gained gliding, which was in late Cetaceous in India. Cetaceous in India. There's also like traits such as burrowing or phosphoral diversification, which appeared in Jurassic mammalia forms and in placental orders. Um, Diversification, just to clarify, is the result of repeatedly involved independent ecological radiations into niches across the globe. So it's the result of numerous events in numerous places. Ancestral organisms, locomotor traits, and dietary changes impact clade diversity. Geography also plays a role. So marsupials are connected, for example, to the southern hemisphere in the Paleocene and Eocene. Niche clades like rodents and primates experienced global diversification, meaning multiple events at the same time in different places. And that was in the Cenozoic time frame. This figure is from UPAM and it demonstrates the diversity among the mammalian class. So each branch tip, like each color line, represents a different species. It includes 5,911 species, that's both living and extinct. And this is specifically figure 1 from that article. This is figure 4, and this is this is also from UPAM. Mammalian, this is the mammalian backbone level divergent times in their study, and versus the previous studies that they've compared to with the fossil record. And so this one kind of just like is a little bit easier to read and follow than the last one, but I think it's cool to kind of compare the two, and you can see the overlapping lines of like what this study had versus what other study had in terms of like phylogenetic maps. Mammalian diversity in biomes of the Earth. So mammals occupy a diverse range of biomes on Earth, including land, water, and air. Shifts in ambulatory movement and arboreal, like gliding abilities, expanded habitat ranges. Then there were dietary changes like insectivores versus herbivores versus carnivores. And those impacted the ability of mammalian diversification. And then there are smaller scale clade changes that also impacted specific geographical biome changes. So major phylogenetic timing debates impact agreement among paleontologists regarding mammalian diversification. Specifically, there's a lot of biases regarding opinions about fossils. And part of this is just because of like different fossil features and what maybe a paleontologist think that came from, where it connected to, etc. Fossil feature justification is based on environment, which is different than molecular, which is genetic reasoning, so like your DNA sequence. Sorry. Combination of fossil and genomic data is important in addressing controversy. Different models result in different conclusions. So I showed like the one phylogenetic tree where different trees, including different information, had different timelines for events and overlap of diversification. Alternatively, molecular phylogenies can only include living species data, extinct species data. So this leaves out all extinct species. And this provides ethical complications because you can't have a full picture on what happened when something went extinct, when you don't have the DNA of it. And so the kind of overlap of molecular and morphological is pretty important. Um, so the crown age is a notable aspect in diversification of placentals, which is a type of mammals, one of the main living groups again. Diversification of morphological traits are necessary for ecological diversification and success. And then molecular data is needed in addition to other sources, such as fossil data. Thanks for watching. Here are the references for those slides or those articles. And I hope to answer your questions.